Are Man United back?
I don't know. I think the last week and the 2 games that have been in that week kind of probably encapsulate where we are right now. You're going to see some bad, you're going to see some good while we try and, do this system. I thought the Everton game was worse than the Grimsby game for me because we played against 10 men for so long, didn't create a chance. And one of the frustrating things for me, and I guess we kind of have to accept it, is we had 3 centre-backs the whole time against 10 men. Why not put Casemiro as one of them, let him push forward? I don't know, change something so that we've got more attacking players on the pitch. And I think the whole of Old Trafford kind of felt that we're not really risking anything here. We're not going for it. And it felt like Everton would get an easy 3 points, or at best we'd grab a draw. And that was a really disappointing game. So disappointing that I went into the game against Palace kind of thinking they're going to beat us here and it's going to be an easy 3 points for them. And one of the things that worried me as well was after the Everton game, after we've had that decent run, we have the Everton game, we lose. The manager came out and he went, I'm a bit scared it might turn into how it was last season. I was like, brother, me too. I'm scared too. But like, you kind of got to calm me down and calm everyone else down. And he's to a fault, too honest at times. Yeah. And I think that can...
We've said that before, haven't we?
Yeah. I like it at times, but then also there's times like that where I'm going, oh, I'm shitting myself now because you are. And I thought that was strange. But the result and the performance in the second half against Palace was excellent. Palace are obviously a very difficult team to play against. I know they probably tired a little bit in the second half, and I don't think they've won a game after a European game yet this season. So maybe some of those things add into it. But I thought the problem solving during the game was very good. I thought the set pieces were very good. It was good to see Xerxes get a goal because I do think there's a player in there, but he has to be really confident. And it was good to see Mason Mount complete 90 minutes as well.
You know the sort of run of form that you've been on. So I know Everton's in the middle of that, but before I think you've been 5 unbeaten. Obviously, you've won away at Palace, which is a great result. So this has probably been the best sort of, what would you say, 6 to 8 weeks for the manager since he's been...
Yeah, we've had 9 games. I think it's 2 draws, a defeat and 6 wins. So that's probably been his best.
So what I'm saying is, but even if you just looked at those games, this is his best time. Does that give you hope that this guy could be the man that gets you back? I'm not even saying to win the league, but actually really competing.
I think
because
so.
We looked at on Monday Night Football, the style, he's gone a lot more direct. Maybe since the goalkeeper's coming in, he's got a really good kick on him. Is there anything about the way they're playing, not just the rules, that gives you sort of hope and belief going forward that you could get back with this guy in charge?
I think the last 2 games have shown us how important Cunha and Sesko are. Yeah. Because I think that, and once you take those 2 out, we've basically got the same team as last season plus Mbumo. So I think we do need to make signings. I think the midfield area, I'm always going to keep banging on how about that is a problem area for us. I think Casemiro has improved, and Bruno will obviously always be Bruno, but then...
Bruno's got, I'm just reading here, has now got more assists in the Premier League than Paul Scholes.
Than Scholes. But stats can be bastards at times, I guess. But
Said Scholesy.
Yeah. There was a point in time in that game against Everton where Casemiro and Bruno just followed each other to the touchline. And he was like, we've got no one in the middle of the park. And I think they do have a little bit of that bozo gene in them sometimes where they just start running around and then we've got no midfield. So I think we need to sort that out and get someone in there. Ugarte is clearly not fancied by the manager. So I think sorting that out is huge. Kobbie Mainoo not being in a team, every time I see it, it kind of makes me sick. Because he's the kind of talent we should be building around. Look, I think we can beat anybody, but we can also be beaten by anybody. And that's the problem. But I think against Liverpool and that little run around there, we showed the positives of this system. If you get Sesko brought into the game and you get Mbumo and Cunha flying, then you're going to have a good time. But far too often, Luke Shaw's getting too much of the ball. Dorgu's getting too much of the ball. And it's like, if 2 of your main attacking outlets are Luke Shaw and Patrick Dorgu, you've got a problem. So maybe it's a personnel thing, maybe it's a system thing, I don't know. But we are getting there, but it's very slowly.
All right, there's a question here. And it's made me think of something with Rio Ferdinand, actually. Who is more likely to remain in their current job for next season? Arne Slot or Ruben Amorim? And the reason I say that, I think Rio messaged me on social media saying, why aren't I giving Arne Slot the same stick that I
hate when United fans say that because one of them's going into his meeting with his board with the Premier League winners men.
I know, it was just a bizarre... I didn't even...
It does wind me up. Or why ain't no one talking about Man City the same way? You support the biggest club in the world, arguably. Like, you should get used to the fact that we're always going to be the topic of conversation. Yes, it can be frustrating at times. I think the reason why I'd say Amorim is most likely to be there is because of the backing from the board, and I don't know what that's like from the Liverpool end. And if this
you think Amorim's more likely to be at Man United?
But that's only because I have no knowledge of what the board is like with Arne Slot, and I know more from a Manchester United perspective that they've said they're going to stick by him. You know, they're going to allow him a few years in the job. So if that's the case, and we see this kind of form throughout the rest of the season, I imagine they'll stick with him. And if Liverpool's form does continue, as much as I hope it does,
standards. I think that the only reason Amorim is still in the job is because of Arteta. I think that they've looked at what Arteta's done at Arsenal.
Not everything's about Arsenal. I promise you. Not everything is about.
To be fair to him, Jim Ratcliffe did say that. But Ratcliffe did mention Arsenal and Arteta.
If he doesn't win games, you can't.
So what? United can stick with Amorim for 6 more years and win nothing? Is that what we're saying? Is that genuinely what you're saying? Because that's the model. You've not gone anywhere, mate.
Yeah, but it's the.
Yeah, you're asking him. Stop looking at me. You're asking him.
But it's in the sense that United are not a great team. When Arteta took over Arsenal weren't a great team. It got bad before it got better. And I think that you're in that sort of phase that Arteta was in when he was taking over a squad. Some players were on too much money and hard to get out the door, and he's slowly but surely getting in some of his own. And I think that the board would have looked at what Arteta's done. I'm not trying to make it all about Arsenal, but I think Arteta's made it difficult for directors to sack their manager early because he's shown that if you do trust the process, it will get better.
We've had this thing, Will, with like United fans always go, "Oh, well, Fergie got 3 years before," and it's like it has to be the right. You have to give the right man the right time, right? And if things are slipping through your fingers and you can feel it, how we did a couple of weeks ago, well, probably about 2 months ago.
That's what I don't get. Like, you know, with us, I think there is still a pretty decent amount of faith in Slot. But I looked at the odds this morning before I come out because I was just wondering. And, you know, Slot's like third favourite to get sacked right now. Amorim's like 25-1. And I was quite surprised by that because I thought, you know, your lot were like really unhappy, quite rightly, to losing to the 10 men of Everton at home. Like, shouldn't he be under a little bit more pressure to go back to Rio? Like,
I think Jim Ratcliffe coming out and saying that stuff has really calmed everything down, and it may even made him feel a little bit better out of it when he's coming out after games that we've maybe not done well in, and he's thinking, well, I've got the backing of the board. I think it has calmed everyone down, and we were even getting, and look, results would have helped that. But I think we were even getting like, oh, he's got 2 games left. Almost every 2 weeks, it felt like we were getting that, and that's kind of calmed
also think
down.
about how bad it got, and he still didn't go.
Yeah, if you were going to sack him, you would have done it by now.
Like the Grimsby game, he could have gone after that, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I thought he didn't go. He didn't go after all that. Do you know what I mean? So maybe that's why he might stay.
Maybe we might win the league. Who knows?
And on that note,
of captain's performance from Bruno Fernandes. Heading into this sort of really busy, you know, festive period of course, I mean, it's a busy week, isn't it, with a couple of games this week. How do you assess where United are? Because it's the inconsistency that's clearly the problem. But when you look at the table, I mean, 3 points off the top 4. Do you feel like that's sort of where they should be? It's close, isn't it? It's tight.
No, it's close. And you know what? The whole league is close. I think down to like 12th or 13th. There's like 3 or 4 points.
You've got to take opportunities.
You've got to take your opportunities. And they didn't against Everton, but they did against Crystal Palace. And if you ask most Man United fans, would they take where they are now? They'd bite your hand off before the start of the season. And even though they spent all that money, because I did think Man United for many years would take time to get back there. I'm not saying they're going to finish in the top 4, but they give themselves a good opportunity. It's just results like Everton, when Everton go down to 10 men, I think frustrates Man United fans. And then you go and put on a performance like you did in the second half against Crystal Palace, a hard place to go. So there is good signs for Man United, but it's the consistency. And that's the difference, because Man United could win 3 or 4 and then end up losing 2 or 3. Do you know what I mean? But they need to win, what is it, 4 or 5 for that guy to cut his hair?
5.
He's never cutting his hair, is he?
No, it's going to rumble on a little bit longer maybe. But I mean, West Ham on Thursday.
Yep.
It feels like every game is a big game for United, purely just to try and build a bit of momentum.
Yeah, well, that is a big game against a team, West Ham, who have picked up recently, but are fighting for their lives. But you're going, it's Old Trafford, so you got to make that a fortress. And at the moment, they haven't made it a fortress. I think a lot of people go to Man United and think they can get something. But if they can get a result against West Ham, then that would be a good week so far. And they look to the weekend as well. But that is a big game against West Ham, and they'll go into that game full of confidence. But they need some of their injured players back. Cunha needs to get fit.
Yeah, Cunha is huge for them.
He's massive.
Well, as mentioned then, Manchester United against...
Manchester United's resurgence has ignited one of the hottest debates of the season. with Jamie Carragher at the centre of a fiery back and forth with fans and pundits. After weeks of improved performances, renewed confidence, and a clear tactical identity emerging on the pitch, the football world is split, and the discussion is louder than ever. Carragher has questioned whether United's revival is genuine or just another temporary spark, but fans insist the Red Devils are finally returning to their true identity. Supporters across social media and fan forums are passionately backing their team, pointing to stronger defensive cohesion, better midfield control, and an attack that finally looks dangerous again. With results beginning to shift and momentum building, many believe this is the most convincing United have looked in years. The debate has become a headline attraction, drawing reactions from former players, pundits, and rival fans. As United push forward with renewed hunger, the question remains, is this the beginning of a true comeback, or just a momentary rise? With tension rising and performances improving, all eyes are now locked on Old Trafford, because one thing is certain, United are making noise again, and the football world is paying attention.